Is there any bookie in the world really taking bets U.S. versus China in the coming war? Because I definitely want to take China. Don't care what the money line is.
Did you see those videos of like the North Korean soldiers breaking
their
bricks
heads
with their hands and like
shit.
lying on glass and like breaking baseball bats on their shins and stuff? I was like,
metal as fuck. I think they could handle a ninja if he just popped up.
Matt, do you remember the movie Best of the Best?
Yeah. Did that have Sasha Mitchell or whatever his name was?
It was Eric Roberts and Chris Penn, and it's about the American karate team, like competing in, it's they have to compete against the Korean karate team.
Oh
and,
yeah, I remember that.
they're like, and James Earl Jones is their coach, and they're like a broad cross section of American dude types. Like Chris Penn is the racist guy, Eric Roberts is the Eric Roberts type guy, and there's a hippie guy, an Italian guy, and then a Korean American guy, and they have to come together and through teamwork become the best of the best. And there's a scene in the movie where James Earl Jones is showing them video footage of their opponents, the Korean team training. And it's like them in the woods, in the snow, shirtless, chopping down trees with ridge palm karate chops, and breaking blocks of ice with their fists, and just hitting each other with 2x4s, and just being loving it. And then Chris Penn and Eric Roberts are like, yeah, we'll take a few laps, do a couple push-ups. So that's what I felt like watching the footage of North Korean soldiers, lie on glass while people jump on them and shit.
We'll be fine as long as the war is a canon production.
Dateline, Thursday, October 14th, 2021. This is Chapo Trap House. It's me, co-host Will Menaker, joined as always by co-host Felix Madman Biederman and Matt the White Dr. Umair Chris.
That's awesome.
I'm flattered.
That is pretty cool. That's one of the coolest titles I've ever seen bestowed on someone.
Yeah, I'm getting T-shirts made.
You think I should start doing giving the date at the beginning, Thursday, October 14th? Just sort of make a little time capsule here. Make it more of an official, news oriented podcast. I don't know, just a thought of it. I'm experimenting with different ways of introducing the show.
I think you should give the wrong date.
Yeah,
it's August.
I think something we could do is make every listener schizophrenic.
August 1066 AD. I'm joined now by William the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've all been busy up to various things. People say you're just doing the podcast or whatever. Well, no. I'll have you know that Felix has been hard at work translating Sally Rooney's new book into Hebrew. Just doing it ad hoc, get it out there, just make sure people have access to it.
And, the thing is, by the time I'm done, all the Russians in Israel will speak Hebrew. They're working on it while I'm working on it.
You're both learning to read and speak it at the same time.
That's what dual power is.
Well, let's see. Okay, kicking off today's show, let's talk about Notorious. That's right, Notorious RBG.
She's dead. She's gone. The good news about that was that you don't have to talk about her anymore. How the fuck are we still talking about this old bag?
Well, because her spirit lives on, Matt.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Her spirit lives on.
Yes, in the form of demonic Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Bryant, who has her seat for the next 100 years.
No, it lives on in the hearts, minds, and souls of girls everywhere who dream of one day scolding uppity black men and athletes for disrespecting the United States of America with their selfish decision to kneel during our national anthem. I don't know if you guys saw this story, but this is a Daily Mail exclusive. Katie Couric covered up RBG's dislike for
No,
taking
she
the knee.
didn't. I remember this happening. What's happened? Is everyone doing fucking paint thinner all day? I remember her saying that they should shut up and be thankful.
They included that she said she is not a fan of it, but Katie Couric excised her more detailed and in-depth comments on this. Her speaking here says, Anchor says she edited 2016 interview to, quote, protect the justice after she said people who kneel are showing contempt for a government that made a decent life possible.
Protect her from what? She's a Supreme Court justice. There's nothing you can do to those people. That's the whole point.
I think she means
they are immune to everything. They cannot be canceled.
Well, no, I think she's talking more about protecting her legacy and protecting her reputation as, like, I don't know, an avatar of everything that represents something hopeful and progressive about America.
Well, that was dumb. They shouldn't have done that in the first place.
It says here, Katie Couric has admitted to editing out Ruth Bader Ginsburg's controversial comments from her 2016 sit-down with the late Supreme Court Justice. Couric writes that she was faced with a conundrum while working on the story for Yahoo News in her scathing new memoir, Going There, released October 26. The former Today Show host reveals Ginsburg responded negatively when asked about people who kneel for the national anthem as a protest against racism. The published story did include quotes from the justice calling the gesture dumb and disrespectful, but omitted more controversial remarks. Ginsburg also said that such protests showed contempt for the government that made it possible for their parents and grandparents to live a decent life, which they probably could not have lived in the places they came from. As they became older, they realized that this was useful folly, she added. Couric claims that Ginsburg, who was 83 at the time, was elderly and probably didn't fully understand the question. She admits she wanted to protect Ginsburg and felt that the issue of racial justice was a blind spot for her.
How the fuck are you bragging about that? That's the thing that blows me away about this. Of course, the people like this do this shit, but just that, like, the cone is so sealed around these people that the assumption that, yeah, that's fine. Of course, in fact, pat me on the back for protecting RBG so that somebody could sell more fucking Funko Pops with their head on them.
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't interpret it that way. I interpreted it as like this is her holding herself accountable. Because like and RBG by extension, because it's like
after she's dead.
Right, exactly, yeah. Because it's like, okay, well, she's gone. We replaced her with like a 39-year-old woman. Everything's done. But last year we were all talking about how we're not going to be racist anymore. Well, I did something. My bad. I fucked up, and she fucked up too. But that's part of learning and growing. And now you know. That's how I saw it.
Here was actually the funniest detail in this story. It says here, Couric writes that she was conflicted because she was a big RBG fan, referring to Ginsburg's moniker. Couric called a friend, David Brooks, a New York Times journalist, who advised her that Ginsburg probably didn't understand the question, even though she was still serving on the Supreme Court at the time. So I love that the excuse here is just like, oh yeah, she's senile. She didn't understand what you're talking about as she adjudicates cases of national importance. She's an old lady. Got to cut her some slack.
I wish she went into more detail, because it's like, does he think she doesn't know about that because it's like an internet issue, kind of? Or she doesn't know about it because she's old, because she's dying, because her brain's dead, because she's like Joe Biden, remembering things that were happening 70 years ago.
Like Joe Paterno, she doesn't know what sodomy is.
Right. Because like I never thought that RBG like didn't know what was going on. It seems like it's more common for men to like go senile in a funny way, because men care about their families way more, and they want their families to have big laughs and big fun in their last 5 years of their life. They want to do hilarious gags. Like maybe they try taking a potted plant and putting it in a coffee maker and drinking whatever it makes. It's like fun, because it's like, it's sad. This person you loved is slipping from this coil and their brain is going, but they're going to have, similar to Pants Dude, they're going to have some fun at their own expense for you.
Grandpas are devoted to gags and stunts.
Exactly. Women, on the other hand, they're with it.
I mean,
It's they usually you got to get them to like 100.
I gotta.
I mean, by that point, they've already fucking sacrificed so much for their stupid families that they're not going to go through the effort of having a funny senility.
Well,
let them just fall apart.
Yeah, but okay. Well, the women think their families want time and nurturing and just being there emotionally in every way, always supporting the kids, always supporting the family. What if everyone just wants laughs? Because I mean, okay, the divorce rate is like I'm not going to look it up. I'm assuming it's about 67%. About that, it's usually because the man is prohibited from doing gags.
It's always a bad sign in a relationship when the laughter dies.
Exactly.
But Felix, I mean, I see what you're saying about how peps have more of a penchant for funny pranks and gags than Mimas. However, I would say RBG perhaps an exception to that rule, because who can forget one of the funniest gags of all time when she officiated that couple's wedding in the middle of COVID and then died a week later?
That was good. I think there was sort of a like Hallmark movie moment where her shitty daughter or something was like, you know, our grandma RBG, that's what they call her, even in her family. We love you and you're great. You inspired every woman to buy a blouse for business. You made women get an internship at the museum. You are that bitch. That's not an insult anymore. You don't know that because you're 100. But you've done so much. What we really want is a gag. We want you to have fun, and we want to have fun. And she was like, okay. And then she died.
Which was
died by officiating this fucking DNC insider wedding, which is hilarious.
If you're gonna save it for like to go out on top with like a big closer, she really did it. The timing was flawless.
And like all great jokes, it led to several other hysterical bust-em-ups. The Trump on the tarmac after she died.
With Tiny Dancer blaring.
That is a gag and a goof 'em up that is going to be like, I'm going to be thinking out as like the fucking DMT hits my brain. And I just like, as I leave this mortal coil, I'm just going to be thinking, she led a great life. This is the first time hearing about it.
She just died? Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life.
And no, it's the Tiny Dancer playing in the background, but I'm just imagining RBG, she's sitting there, you know, it's just like, you know, not a mask in sight, by the way. I can't believe how
Just
irresponsible
vibing.
some people, just vibing. And she goes, I now pronounce you man and wife. Also, would you like this stick of gum? Or then like shake hands, bzz, you know, like just fun stuff like that. You gotta, as I've always said, like, you know, in the art in my house, you gotta live, laugh, love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who knows? You know, I don't really know. Actually, I do. I know what RBG's main effect was because all the things that people quote from her are losing decisions where she's on the losing side of the court because she was, I mean, the perfect cultural figure. She was epic at losing. She really delivered a fiery response in a decision that was lost, 6-3 or something. But fuck, I lost my train of thought.
Well,
doing the math about the Supreme Court.
I don't know wait a minute, how many people are on there again? 15?
I almost was like 6'4", and I was like, wait a minute, there'd be so many ties. And then I found a solution.
I mean, I think like overall what's going on here with the Kirk thing is like apparently like, you know, this new scathing memoir where she goes in and, you know, it's just like apparently comes off as quite a psycho. I'm assuming there's a lot of dishing about Matt Lauer in there as well. But I mean, I think whether she's admitting to it, I don't know, is like in some sense to salvage her own reputation. But I think what's going on here is that she's admitting that, like, you know, she had this, you know, like some fire in an exclusive interview with like one of the most important national figures that she omitted and shaded the more what would it be like the more controversial parts of her statement about like, oh, like these people are speaking of black people kneeling to protest the national anthem, and like in as it regards to like police killings and injustice like that, saying of them, they're protesting a government that makes a decent life possible for them. I think what's going on is I think she like self-consciously shaded or like, basically censored what would have been like, fire if you're a journalist. You're like, yeah, keep talking. Give me that. Let's get some headlines here. I think she self-consciously shaded it because she didn't want to damage the like, sort of cultural industry that had grown up by that point around, the notorious RBG as this figure that like was, as opposed to Trump, was like represented everything good and progressive and kind of like feminist about the country.
I do hope that there's some part of the book where she stops to bemoan the fact that people just don't trust the media anymore and blames it on Russia or something. I hope she just is like, goddamn Facebook, making people not trust the media. Anyway, here's another time where I just fucking went in the tank and deleted things that a fucking public official said to make them look better because I agreed with them politically.
Well, I mean, and also David Brooks is just being like, yeah, it's fine. She didn't understand what you were talking about. She's 83 years old, but also is sitting on the Supreme Court.
I mean, you can be senile and complete your job of losing.
Yeah.
That's the point, is she wasn't senile. No one ever like scanned her as senile. It was just like, damn, this woman's old.
I mean, at that point, like, the issue was never about senility. It's the Supreme Court. There's two buttons. All you got to do is remember which one to press, depending on which party you're a member of. I mean, that's it. They'll tell you it isn't, but that's it. The thing was, because she was 900 and made of cancer, she might have died, and then she did. Then she did, because she knows how to go out with a big closer, and we got to give her respect for that.
Going out on top of the world, Ma, top of the world, Ruth.
It was just, I mean, I do kind of get some of the fanfare, because if you care about that shit, a formative figure in like women becoming lawyers or something. I don't really know, but it's like nothing about her corresponded with the image that she was like a cool black rapper, that she was doing disses on the other judges. Because she loved Scalia. When Kavanaugh got in there, she was like, I think he's a great justice and he's my friend. It's like no, that's what the Supreme Court is. It was the most, I mean, this happens all the time in politics where you put your image of what you want someone to be onto the politician, like how Trump is made into this masculine alpha male, but at least people on his side, people working for him, are at least trying to brand that a little bit. But with RBG, there was just zero correspondence between what was being sold and what the person was actually doing.
Well,
up until her death.
The people who were really most into the RBG legend, though, people like Katie Couric, I don't think they really gave a shit about any of the substance of any of her opinions or takes. I guess that's what they call them, right? In the Supreme Court, 5-4. With a presiding take delivered by Justice Kavanaugh, that kind of thing. It's that she was a woman in power. That was it. Like, and that ratified their ambition, and that's what matters. It doesn't really matter what she has to say about anything.
Yeah. So that's Katie Couric and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But